Okay, so we have now talked about the digestive system, how we obtain materials, make them usable, that is, break them down, make them small enough so they can fit in our cells. We've talked about the circulatory system, that is, transport, movement materials to, from, and within your cells. You get those nutrients from your small intestine to all your cells. You get the oxygen from your lungs to all your cells. Well, we're going to move on to the next step, which is to talk about how the oxygen gets into your lungs in the first place and then moves into your bloodstream. And for that, we're going to talk about the respiratory system. And the respiratory system doesn't just bring in oxygen, it gets rid of carbon dioxide. So we're going to be talking about both those things. That process is called gas exchange. Gas exchange is getting in oxygen and getting rid of carbon dioxide across a membrane, that is the surface of your lungs, into your bloodstream. And your respiratory system is pretty simple. It's really just a big long tube starting with your nose or mouth and headed down to the center of your chest, and then it branches off into two tubes that lead to the lungs, which actually branch into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller tubes until you get to tiny little tubes that lead to little sacs. So these little tubes, so you breathe in and it goes down the tube, go down the smaller tube, and then it ends up in this little tube right there. And then it goes into these little air sacs called alveoli. It's at that point that it has not yet crossed a membrane. It's at that point that it's going to cross a membrane. It's going to cross the alveolus, that's one, alveoli is many, into the bloodstream. So you breathe in the oxygen and it ends up in the alveolus and then crossing into the capillary, and then it goes through the different blood vessels. Your heart beats, pumps it around your body, and you end up delivering it to your cells like we talked about in the circulatory system. I'm going to focus on the alveoli. Okay, so this is just a series of tubes, but this point right here is what I really want to spend some time talking about. If you look, so you breathe in, right, and the air goes down those various tubes and ends up in this smallest tube right here. So this right here is just connected to your nostril by a series of tubes, right? It's connected with the outside world. The outside air is coming in through there, and it ends up in these little things that look like grapes. Those are the alveoli. So that's where the air comes in and out. And the little sacs are called alveoli, if that's more than one. One of them is called an alveolus. And the capillaries surround the little alveoli, and they're blood vessels that that pick up the oxygen and go off to your cells. And so the only thing really that we have here to label is what kind of blood is coming in toward the lung, and then what kind of blood is leaving. Blood that does not have oxygen, deoxygenated blood, is coming in these capillaries, and it picks up the oxygen. The oxygen goes out of the alveolus into the capillary, and then it leaves, and it's now oxygenated. That is, it's got oxygen, and it heads off to your cells to deliver the oxygen. And why do you need oxygen in your cells? For respiration. And when it's there, it will pick up what gas? Carbon dioxide, right? Because cell respiration breaks down sugar and makes carbon dioxide and water, and the carbon dioxide is going to be picked up, as well as the water, but that will go elsewhere. The carbon dioxide will be picked up at the cells and travel all around till it comes in through the blood vessels here, and it'll leave here and go into your alveoli and then out all those little tubes, and you exhale it. Lots of people think that oxygen magically turns into carbon dioxide in your lungs, that you just breathe in oxygen, it sits in your lungs, it converts to carbon dioxide, and you exhale it. That's not true at all. You breathe in oxygen, it goes to your cells, it does cell respiration. When you break down the sugar, it makes carbon dioxide that goes into your blood and travels around, and you exhale it.